I really wanted to become a coach because I wanted to help people reach their goals and achieve their potential. So I went to university and studied sports science. Then I became a strength and conditioning coach, which meant I was working on the physical preparation of athletes across lots of different sports. I went to prepare athletes for 4 Summer Olympic Games, 1 Winter Olympic Games, multiple World Cups and World Championships. And that was a real privilege to be involved with that level of sports. Then in 2015, Dr. Aki Hintsa came to me and said, do you want to come and join Hintsa and help build our sports business? And I thought, what an opportunity to work again with a high-level sport and athlete, but also to help grow this sports business. And so I took the position, and it was a real challenge because Formula One is at the cutting edge of engineering and innovation, but from a human performance point of view, it wasn't really there, and there was a lot that needed to be done in terms of research, innovation, development. And so we've worked really, really hard to develop what the drivers do in preparation. You see, the demands of Formula One are really, really high. Your heart rate is at 80% of maximum for an hour and a half when you're racing. The temperature's over 50 degrees inside the cockpit. There's lots and lots of decision making and task switching. There has to be high level of cognitive capacity for the driver. And so it's a sport where the demands are high, and so the preparation needs to match those demands. And being part of that has been a real privilege. Biomechanics is to do with our movement and our posture, and being flexible and mobile through our joints and our muscles. And it's really, really important in life in general that we remain mobile, especially in our modern world where we're seated for long periods of time, often bent over a computer, and we can develop issues like lower back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, and so on. So it's important to be mobile and to be flexible and so on. In Formula One, it's really, really important because the driver is seated in a confined space. They're bent over in a cockpit, holding a steering wheel, and they too can develop lower back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, and they're being thrown around in that car. And the vibrations are really harsh and heavy, and it's very, very physically demanding. So biomechanics and their posture becomes very, very important. When they get out of the car, it's important that they open up their shoulders, they stand tall, develop good posture, and they work on their flexibility and mobility so that they can cope with the demands of racing. One of the clients that I've been able to help over my career was an Olympic 400 meter runner. And he was very strong, very active, very successful in his career. He was training twice a day, taking about 20,000 steps a day. And when he retired from sport, he got a job with a sporting organization, and his time was split between working from home and working in the office. And the work involved being in meetings, sitting behind his computer, making phone calls. And he'd gone from being this active, successful, strong athlete to being this guy in an office who was sitting down most of the day. And over time, he began to develop lower back pain, some posture issues, neck pain. And so he bought an activity tracker, and he realized from his tracker that he was only walking about 2,000 to 4,000 steps a day, and he was absolutely horrified. He'd gone from 20,000 steps a day to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 steps, and realized he had to do something about it. So came to me, and I was able to help him and advise him to begin to be a bit more active during the day. So standing up every hour at work and taking exercise snacks, if you like, during the day, where you go and do a little bit of exercise in between your meetings or in between sitting for an hour. He also bought a Swiss ball that he'd sit on at his desk to help his lower back pain. He bought a standing desk that he would use for half the day, and began to do some of his meetings as talking meetings, so he wasn't just sitting down at his desk all day, and really tried to introduce activity into his daily lifestyle. He'd already been going to the gym a couple of times a week, but it also increased that so that he was going more often, because we know that actually the important thing is to have a balance of activity during the day and training, if you like, because if you're going to the gym for 45 minutes at the end of the day, that isn't enough to offset all the adverse effects of sitting for long periods of time during the day. So you need to make sure that you're getting up and down and walking around, and you're doing something maybe a little bit more intense by going to the gym in the morning or the evening. And this work that he did really helped him. He overcame his lower back pain and began to be a lot more active. He gained a lot more energy and was a lot happier in his life. I've learned quite a lot from working in F1 that can actually be applied in a corporate setting. You see, F1 is a really complex sport. There's the cognitive demands of Formula One, where you have to concentrate for long periods of time, whether that's sitting in the car where you're making decisions and watching the track and having to cope with the high speeds up to 300 kilometers an hour, or whether that's afterwards in engineering meetings and debriefing where you're going through reams and reams of data. That is very similar to some of the demands of corporate individuals who have to be really on point in meetings and really concentrated, whether they're preparing presentations or answering questions or standing up and presenting. So lots of similarities on the cognitive side. There's also similarities on the travel side. You could be a corporate individual who's flying around the world and having to go from meeting to meeting in different countries. That's similar to Formula One drivers who have to compete across multiple countries, across 5 different continents, and they have to turn up and get over their jet lag, get in the car and deliver. So having a strategy to be able to cope with the lack of sleep and overcoming jet lag is really important for both Formula One drivers and corporate individuals.